Hello, and welcome to Russia-Ukraine News, where we cover every latest on Russian invasion on Ukraine. Please make sure to subscribe and like the video. Ukraine's territorial troops are true citizen soldiers. Volunteers all, they enlist with local brigades and combat of their domestic areas with only minimum training and similarly minimum equipment. They don't usually have standard uniforms, vans and radios, to mention nothing of heavy weaponry. But that doesn't suggest they're entirely lacking firepower. To provide the territorials some chance of blunting Russian attacks, Kyiv has armed at least a number of its dozen territorial brigades, one every for each major free city, with a kind of massive gun that, in nearly some other military, might be on show at a museum. The MT-12 towed anti-tank gun. Hundreds of copies of which have been lying round in Ukrainian warehouses before the modern battle. The 3-ton MT-12, firing at excessive velocity, 100mm diameter shell from a smoothbore tube, is getting a tough workout by the territorials as they preserve the road in opposition to the modern Russian offensives in southern and Japanese Ukraine. A video that circulated on social media on Friday depicts volunteers with the 110th Territorial Brigade from Zaporizhia, 100 miles northwest of Mariupol, furiously firing their MT-12 at close-by Russian or separatist forces. The gun's flat elevation method the enemy is probably only a mile away, at most. At that range, an MT-12 can penetrate 400mm of armor, sufficient to ruin an infantry fighting vehicle, and, from positive angles, disable or ruin a tank. The Friday video isn't the first proof of the MT-12 in Ukrainian service. Videos and photographs from an advance with inside the battle confirm as a minimum 3 MT-12s that the Ukrainians deserted and the Russians captured, plus every other that the Russians destroyed in combat. It's really well worth noting that Russian-sponsored Ukrainian separatists additionally use MT-12s and have deserted as a minimum one of the guns so far. The MT-12 isn't a complicated weapon. That's a very good thing, as it calls for most effective a bit training to operate and most effective primary deliver and guide to preserve it in action. Perfect for the 100,000 aging former taxi drivers, instructors and manufacturing unit employees who incorporate the Ukrainian territorials. Soviet enterprise advanced the MT-12 with inside the early 1960s as a supplement to the heavier self-propelled howitzers then turning into common. While howitzers in Soviet military doctrine have been offensive weapons, indeed, the main offensive weapons, MT-12s have been defensive. Anti-tank organizations the usage of Montana LB tracked motors as tractors might array their 6 every weapons alongside a brigade's flanks a good way to shield in opposition to counterattacking enemy tanks. An experienced 6-character MT-12 group may want to installation its gun inside a minute and shoot a spherical each 10 seconds or so. Ukraine possessed as many as 500 old, Soviet antique MT-12s, whilst Russia attacked the nighttime of February 23. It's uncertain precisely how Kyiv has allotted the weapons. On paper, among the Ukrainian military's energetic brigades consist of MT-12s that would carry out direct and indirect hearthplace missions. In practice, the NICE brigades have a tendency to assign self-propelled 2S1 122mm howitzers to indirect fire missions and anti-tank groups with Stugna P missiles to direct fire missions. That may have freed up MT-12s for the developing quantity of territorial formations. Photos of the 110 Territorial Brigade in German magazine Der Spiegel in overdue April depict a 6-guy gun group using on an Montana LB stacked excessive with crates of ammo and towing an MT-12. The Der Spiegel article mentions simply weapons, possibly hinting on the loose and minimal shape of the territorials' artillery. They would possibly simply take what they could get and use it, but they could. More and higher weapons are coming, even though now no longer always for the territorials. The United States and its NATO allies together have pledged to Ukraine around 200 contemporary day artillery pieces, including a number of the modern European self-propelled howitzers that are like-minded with American-made laser-guided. So guys, with that we have come to an end of this edition of the news. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time. Bye.